Hey folks, Kozzi here, drafting for Pick 1 Pack 1. We found ourselves into yet another Stonescar Aggro deck. It looks okay. A little bit difficult to work out the last cut or two. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think, because I'm not as confident for this one as I have been for others. And that's probably a sign that there's space for me to learn something here. We started off with a deranged Dynamancer, but pretty quickly had to move away from that color space. There was an interesting period in the middle of the draft where I got quite nervous. I thought that I was being cut on red, but then it seemed to flood through again in the late packs, and so I think we just had some weirdly allocated packs going through. But yeah, I think if we get one of our 2-drops and a piece of equipment, we should be pretty comfortable. The fact that we have a couple of creatures that really revel in being aggressive makes me hope that I get put on the play. This could be a deck that finds life a little bit hard to come back from behind, and so we'll need to really keep that in mind as we play through. And this is just about a perfect hand for us. We have a 1-drop, we don't have anything to do on 2, but then we have some aggressive 3s. And we can afford to cast them all, so I don't think I can complain too much. Just about the perfect card for me now would be that Ornate Katana, so I can play something on 2 and draw a card and keep going through my deck. Any other 2-drop will be a good runners-up prize though. Perhaps we'll just have to settle for getting in and getting a Warcry. Okay, that's good. I was nervous for a moment that this might have been the 2-3 that you get from time, but the fact that it wasn't helps me breathe a little bit more. Okay, I need to be a lot more careful than I currently am being. I chose the wrong sigil, which is really quite annoying. Am I happy with that being a 4-1? I don't have a choice. Alright. Bad start so far, just being careless. It's so easy just to get overloaded with different things to prioritize and then to forget the basics. And one of the basics was just to make sure I had my colors down at the right time. And I was even thinking in the previous turn, I didn't say it out loud, but I definitely was thinking that I needed to make sure that I could afford her, but just faked out a little bit. So this is interesting. I can either use the Katana here to represent a huge threat and get deeper into my deck, or I can use my power a little bit more efficiently, drop this here. He'll probably trade. Yeah, I don't want to be trading resources. And that is a pretty huge hit for him to have to wonder about if he wants to chump block or not. If he has a torch, it will hurt a bit, but that being said, we've replaced the card that we used the Katana on, and he gave himself the +2, so we're not actually losing value there. We're just losing opportunity cost on what would have happened if I would have played halfway competently. Flooding out a fair bit here. She's not going to help us all by getting in, even though she has haste, so I think we're going to use her now to get rid of the blocker so I can keep getting damage in. I don't like 2-for-1ing myself, especially when I've flooded, but if we get the Morning Star as our top deck or something like that, then it'll definitely be worth it. If we get the quick draw equipment, then it'll be worth it. Now that's interesting. If I wanted to, I could cast the Brigand and attack with both. No matter what, he's going to be taking 6. Yeah, I think I'm happy to do that. now if we can just stop drawing power, we can try and capitalize on this. Again, same deal. Quick draw equipment. Basically, we just want to draw something to pump her up. Now we would really like to draw the quick draw. Okay, let's just do the... Oh, he's gained 9 life as well. That's a shame. Because if she became a 6/6... No, she'd only be doing 2 extra damage. So I think we wait on the Morning Star until we find something slightly more enticing to put it on. And I think we've just found us something slightly more enticing. It's not quite enough for lethal, but it's definitely enough to give him a headache. He's going to be gaining 6 going to 10, which will be a pretty brave attack, although he's definitely got the card advantage on me. The thing is, I think this will have to hold back. Anything that's too small, and this will just be attacking over the top. So yeah, we're in the same position. We're basically an impasse now, except for he has much better card. That is a fascinating block. If you double block, you're only doing 5. Perhaps it's a pump? I don't feel as though I can sit back and let him keep attacking him with the honor guard. And I don't think he quite realised just how that would get doubled. So hopefully they'll give him a little bit pause. Best case scenario for me is for him to start to flood like I flooded, and these guys stare off against each other, the honor guard and the brigand. If you don't have a spell and if you don't have a power, I think I've got you dead. Yeah, right about now I think I know I've got you dead. Well, she did some work. The brigand, being able to double the overwhelm damage was exactly the combination we were talking about in the draft that I was hoping to achieve. And it's quite satisfying that because he had a serious bomb on the table. And I think it's the first time I've been able to survive more than a couple of turns against it. Like, that's a great card. And yeah, I don't think my opponent quite... There's a chance that they might have just decided that they had to attack in order to win the game, but I think them sitting back, I definitely would have sat back as well until I drew a combat trick, and we would have just been seeing what we got off the top of the decks. But yeah, if you wanted an advertisement for how good the Morning Star is, that's the video for you guys to watch. It's a phenomenal card. I don't think it's necessarily being undervalued. I see it come through to me very rarely, so I actually think it's being valued quite appropriately, and people are taking it early and being happy. And so that's our first win. Interesting hand. I think it is a keep. We have a double purple, we have a splash color, we have a 2-drop. Yeah. Not a hand that I'm stoked at, but definitely a hand that's keepable. So our sequence here is definitely to use the depleted land first, Fire Sigil creature, hopefully it's still alive to get value. If we draw a 3-drop, we can use that. We're still safe if the creature dies, but we'll probably be wanting to play the Fire Sigil anyway, so that way we can play the Brigand. And now, if they don't do much, we've got a really nice curve happening. We've got the 2, 3, 4, 5 removal. That's a very good creature, especially if he's playing a Stonescar stash build. I think what I want to do is offer up the trade with one of my good creatures. Because if I put the sidearm on, there's no way that he's blocking. I'm aware that this would be very powerful on top of this, but that's a bomb creature as well, so I think I'd be happy if we were to trade off. Yeah, so he's got some kind of equipment for now. So my choice is to kill it right now, and I think it's valid using one of my best pieces of removal on him. This is a huge engine that if he gets one more card out of it, I'm just going to fall further and further behind. Or I could get really on the aggressive, forcing a block going to 17, then this is going to be doing a huge amount of damage. But I feel as though I can do that next turn anyway if I want to. I sequenced that wrong, I probably should have attacked first. Yeah, normally I'm quite okay with talking and playing at the same time, but for whatever reason today, it's just taking me a little bit off my game. So he's developing, we'll keep developing as well. I've got to be a little bit worried about if he gets overwhelmed. That will be a problem for me. But fortunately this works as a pretty good roadblock. Let's see your overwhelm spell. Ooh, okay. Let's see your dark return, let's see... something else? Why would you give me that value? I think we'll play the mana efficient play right here. I don't want to attack just in case if he has removal. I still want to make sure I can block this creature. So what kind of units do I have? Nothing that's super exciting right now. So what I could do is I could play the Magus and represent a double block here. Full stop. If I want to get value, I could get back the other Magus, or when this guy probably invariably dies. No, I feel as though the Magus is doing enough, so I feel like I just want to play this and then get back my next one. Sooner or later I'll be able to build up enough to attack in, but until then I'm quite happy to try and hold this back. This is the card that will determine the game. Looks like my opponent's flooding a fair amount. Okay, so we're still stabilizing our board pretty effectively here. I have the choice. I can either get what looks like a free block. Yeah, he's hoping to put me on the double block here. So my choice is I can either block here and eat it, and then block here. He'll gain 6 life. I don't go down to 13. I can make it a 4-4. Or I can just take 6 and then keep this so that I can actually represent profitable blocks. Yeah, I think I'm happy taking 6 for this occasion. That's a very, very good draw. Let's make the most of it. Alrighty, so I renounce all rights to complain about my luck for the rest of this series, because that was definitely a perfectly timed permafrost. And exactly the reason why I was splashing blue in the first place. I don't think I really had any other removal that could effectively deal with it other than going for blocks here. That smells like a combat trick if he's just running in like that. What kind of trick could he have? He could have the Overwhelm, which will give it +3/+1, making it a 5/3, so we still trade and I just take 2. He could have the Quick Draw, which means even if I double block, he dies anyway, and then when he dies, he'll kill it. So they're the two that I think are most likely. Okay, so he was just testing me, which is good news. Now the extra good news for me is what these Blackguard sidearms are going to do. Is it makes it impossible for him to chump block here, and it also means that any extra damage is going to be going straight to the face. And I think this is just about wrapped up. It's probably the only thing that could really get him out is if he has something to give endurance to this Infernal Tyrant. Then this game is back on like crazy. Ah, what trick have you got? Okay. I'm not sure if I like doing that in response. I think he might have actually been better served. Nah, no need to get too aggressive. We've got to ask ourselves the question of how do I lose this match rather than how do I win it? And the best way of losing it is by getting too aggressive when I don't need to. Yeah, as I was saying before, I think I would have preferred to have seen my opponent do this in their main phase, so they had the cards available to actually use them. Instead, what they were doing was, it was a little bit tricky. It stopped me from killing one of their creatures, but it meant that those cards that the 2 cards that they drew, they weren't in a spot to use. Okay. That's a reasonable sized turnaround. This is a very good sequence. I didn't think that they were going to get remotely as close as this. And so in my last series we were talking about how poor the Daredevil was when you weren't building around it. And that's exactly what we saw. Whereas this time, I am so happy to see her knowing that I'm going to be putting a arm on her next. So she'll just be doing 3 damage to a random enemy. It makes her pretty phenomenal. Do you have a second blocker? If you do, then we're still in with a very good game. Now the question is whether he gets someone cheap or not. Oh boy, okay, so I was entirely wrong. Not only are we stealing with the game, but I'm behind. Fortunately, if I put the sidearm on, he's forced into blocking. He either has to chump here or chump here. He can't double block because it won't be enough to kill me. So I think I've still just got the ascendancy. But this has gotten a little bit too close for comfort. Must have a chump blocker. Oh. You got away with that. Oh, sorry mate, I didn't mean to. I meant for that to be a thanks for the game. Yeah, way too close for comfort, that one. Perhaps I should have been more aggressive. Perhaps I did give him too much time to try and stabilize. I'll be interested to look over the tape on that one. And I might have taken way too conservative a line, because I'll tell you what, that one gave me a good chance to check what my blood pressure's like. So we have a turn 1, turn 2 if he stays to make him bigger if we need to, but we'll probably want the katana for the sharpshooter. Yeah, this looks like a great hand. So no prizes for guessing that I have no interest in blocking this Grenadin. And it would take an awful lot of surprising outcomes for me to change my mind on that. If he keeps him back to block, I think I'm still happy to attack in. I'm not so sure on that one. I think these guys can stare at each other knowing that I'm going to have an unblockable and a quick draw creature soon. Okay. We can race. In this scenario, I want to get my speed up, I think. Having the 3/3, I won't be blocking, I'll be taking extras. So I think I just want to develop. And then next turn, depending on what we see, we can look at either this or this. Sharpshooter doesn't worry me as much because I have permafrost available. Particularly so if they put a piece of equipment on it next turn. We can just lump the fact that we'll take one hit and then take it out permanently. Yeah, I think that's the correct attack. So in this scenario, I think we want to play the sharpshooter knowing that next turn we're guaranteed to get some equipment on it. If he gets the quick draw on it, then I can't block, and so I'd want to be able to still block this to reduce the amount of damage I take, so I don't think I want to attack here. What I'd like to do though is just draw one power so I can do both of these next turn. And if this doesn't get quick draw, then I'll be happy to trade. Sure. Okay, that makes me quite happy. I was going to be doing this, but that's on the assumption I want to get aggressive. If I want to play it defensively, this would be the better play to offer a trade here. Permafrosting. And then once everything's settled down a bit. Otherwise, I could do nothing and hold this up. If they attack in... No, I feel as though I'd rather keep this. This is how I'm going to get back in the game. If he doesn't attack, that's when I know I can definitely breathe, because it means he hasn't got much else. And that's when I can start to swing in my favour with this Granite Acolyte. But I do need to be careful. 1 or 2 combat tricks, and I'm lethal just from this 2/2 alone, so... I think I do need to be a little bit more conservative than not to try and survive this matchup. I didn't see a stop, so he hasn't got combat tricks. So I could just use the Magma Javelin and take 2 damage to get in. It's the most efficient use of my mana. Alternatively, I could just hold up the Death Strike and say go. I think I just want to deal with these problems. I don't think there's any benefit to me in getting fancy. So I do need to factor in rampage damage here to give him overwhelm. That is one way that I can get in a lot of trouble. Ideally, what I'd like most is to be drawing power so that I can play something and hold up Death Strike and just start to get my aggro on a little bit. Okay, he has the same idea as me. I think we just keep developing our board state for now. I don't know if this is tense for you guys watching, but geez, this is tense for me right now. I realise that I haven't been talking for a little bit just because I've been too busy thinking through everything. It's good news for me that he has overwhelm. It's good news that she's unblockable. So once I feel safe, I'll be able to get in damage and lethal damage pretty quickly. It's just about feeling safe. If I have something like my Oni Ronin, so I can just keep developing and hold up the Death Strike, then that allows me to start to get aggressive. But I'm really just waiting until I can play 2 cards in a turn. That is a pretty painful madness. And I'm willing to bet he's got a torch. Or a second madness. Let's say that he has a torch. I'm dead no matter what, so there's no point in playing around it. If he has a second madness, then I need to hold up the Death Strike. If he has a haste creature, then I need to hold up the Death Strike. We'll sit back and hold up the Death Strike and see what he does. Okay, so I was dead no matter what. Let's just get some satisfaction. Very small satisfaction, but satisfaction nonetheless. Yeah, okay. Did I make a mistake in getting too aggressive early on? There's definitely a reasonable argument for that to be made. Very unusual line to lose to, him beefing up my own creature, which is why I thought it was pretty likely that he had the torch, but fun nonetheless. So we're at 2 wins. I'll stop the video here now that we've played 3 matches and continue on for the next one. Yeah, I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a good one.